So basically it returns to the same concept that we've described already, that a big part of the problems or challenges that are facing blockchains today is that basically they're just another backend. They're just another service, a backend server that allows us to have a distributed database that we're all sharing and all using the same database for identities and for maintaining the contractual state of humanity. Potentially, if we all use the same blockchain, and it enables the full explicitity of smart contracts, right? But basically it's a backend and it has a lot of issues with either scalability or security and resources, right? Now, when you look at a distributed networks in nature, like if you go on into a bacterial colony or you go into your brain or you go into beehives or ant colonies, you don't really see their master nodes. You don't really see their like master servers where you need to download a 1.5 terabyte of information just to sync your state. So when you look at distributed networks in nature, the clients themselves are all that's needed to make the network. So the network is just made up of the actual players being played. They don't need the help of big servers to run it. And today in most blockchains, you need central players to run it. So you need someone big to run a node in Ethereum or in EOS on any of these other blockchains. What we're trying to develop is a way to utilize this ability of the blockchains and all the value they bring, which is immense value, but then not to rely on it for each transaction, but just to have it as a sort of court of appeal and a way to basically report the overall state of contracts. So for example, in Tuki, we do report to Ethereum when a Tuki campaign is generated, we report it to the Ethereum. And then once a day or once an hour, we report all the results. But in between, our protocol allows the entire smart contract to be played out and all the rules to be adhered to, but without touching the blockchain, without touching this very heavy and expensive distributed server or database. And the way we approached it is to look at social contracts and look and see that basically when people interact with people, then interactions using link sharing can suffice. And having just the browsers be the entity that connects to one another, then by having just these networks of browsers and people sharing links, then this forms a sort of network that can play out the smart contract. So for us, this is the huge potential of fusing what we call a pure front-end to front-end decentralized network with the blockchain. So we enable smart contracts to be played out mostly off-chain in a zero resource server requirement sort of way, just the browsers interacting with the browsers, and still enjoy all the benefits of the blockchain for having the security and safe place to store your values and have a safe place to appeal if the contract was not adhered to, etc.